It's a good idea to gather all your supplies before you start a project. You can download this supply list at learnhowtoquilt.com under Quilting Classes, the Advent Quilt, Video 3. You will need a paper and pencil for tracing the children's hands. You can use template plastic or just plain cardboard for making a pattern. Make sure you use scissors reserved for paper when cutting out the pattern so you don't dull your good fabric scissors. To make the numbers, you will need 1.5-inch high numerals reversed. I have a sheet of these that you can download at learnhowtoquilt.com. In the next video, I'll go over more details about the fabric, but for the most part, you'll need a background fabric like this polka dot. You'll need a backing fabric like this print. In both cases, I've used a print, but that's not necessary. You'll also need fabric for the hands and the numbers. On the quilt in the back, I've used a multitude of fabrics, but it's okay just to use one color. And if you decide you want a tree trunk like this tree here, you'll need a little piece of brown. Press all fabric before cutting and keep in mind that 100% cotton works best. You will also need batting and a two-sided fusible for the hands and for the numbers. Use a rotary cutter, ruler, and mat for cutting out your fabric. If you don't have these rotary cutting supplies, any ruler will work just fine. You can mark it with your cutting lines with a fabric pencil and just use regular scissors to cut out your background. For this series, I'll use my machine to sew the pockets and quilt the background. Make sure your machine is in good working order before you begin any project. When machine quilting, I use safety pins to keep the layers together. I also use matching threads. If your machine quilting skills aren't so great, you might want to use this invisible thread. This tree has 28 hands with buttons sewn on each hand, so you'll need 28 buttons. They can be the same size, they can be different colors. You decide which ones will look best on your tree. Another idea is to use jewelry instead of the buttons. Or maybe you have some old pins laying around the house from vacations or quilt shows that you went to. It's up to you how you want to decorate your tree. I like to put candy and little knickknacks in these pockets. If you decide to do that, you'll need about 5 yards of ribbon or yarn. In the next video, I'll talk about the iron-on fusible that you'll use for the hands and the numbers. I'll also go over the fabric yardage amounts that you'll need for this quilt.